Gingerbread Girl, day 3. Hopefully you're enjoying this. Every day is going to get a little bit better and better. So far, we're just kind of talking, She's talking to she's talking to her dad, she's talking to her husband. We're learning a little bit about the coping skills that she, I guess, lacks, we might say. She really doesn't. But I can't judge her because I think, like I said before, probably the most difficult thing. I can't think of anything harder for a parent to lose a child. That's as bad as it gets. And SIDS, one of the worst ways. Now, a couple of people have asked me, hey, where does this short story come from? Because some people have been searching it. Devin found the audio version, which is like $100 and something now. If you want, I think it was CD. They just don't make it anymore. I'll show you. You have to join one of Amazon's services, I think, to get the audio version. But right here, it comes from this book called Just After Sunset. You see, it's that's what I think I paid this price for it, the Kindle version. But the audio book, it's free if you join this Audible trial. But then there's audio CD. There was something else he found that was $100 and something. That was the only option. So, for Gingerbread Girl itself, just Gingerbread Girl. So I think they don't make it anymore. So it's become kind of like a collector's item if anybody wants it. Some people collect everything that Stephen King has done. There are these special books that come out limited to 100 copies or something like that. So that's probably why that's so expensive. But if anybody's looking to read more Stephen King and stories like this, Just After Sunset is the name of the book. So let's get that up, but get that up to get rid of it so we can do this. And we ended right where the yellow part is there. The dad was a little worried. He's like, Henry's not going to come there and cause any trouble, is he? And it seems like, no, he didn't, because Stephen King, the narrator, Stephen King's not the narrator, but the writer. There's a difference between narrator and writer. We can get into that later, but let's get into reading here. Henry didn't cause trouble. Henry didn't even ask where she was calling from. Henry said, maybe you're not the only one who needs a little time apart. Maybe this is for the best. All right, let's dissect this part here. I can't help myself as an English teacher. Let's delete the highlight. But you can see that they are thinking differently. He's thinking this is a temporary thing. She has already told us she thinks it's a permanent thing. She resisted it, and there's going to be something on the next page that makes it even more permanent. So she resisted an urge that struck her as both normal and absurd to thank him. Silence seemed like the best option. What he said next made her glad she had chosen it. So better that she didn't say anything. Sometimes, hey, in an argument, a little pro tip here, silence is sometimes best. That moment where the other person really has to think of something to say, or you're comfortable with that silence. So she was comfortable with that silence. And look at what he says next to her. This is a little bit it's a little bit of a dig, right? Right at the bottom there, the last line, who'd you call for help? The motor pool king. So he's kind of like, yeah, well, you don't have any other, it's kind of like you don't have any other friends. Who are you going to call? Your dad. This time, the urge she resisted was to ask if he called his mother yet. Tit for tat never solved anything. She said evenly, as she hoped, so she's trying not to cry, I'm going to Vermilion Key, my dad's place there. The Conch Shack? She could almost hear him sniff. Like ho-hos and Twinkies, houses with only 3 rooms and no garage were not part of Henry's belief system. It seemed like Henry maybe comes from money. Seems like that. Em said, I'll call you when I get there. A long silence. She imagined him in the kitchen, head leaning against the wall, hand gripping the handset of the phone tight enough to turn his knuckles white, fighting to reject anger. Because of the 6 mostly good years they had together, she hoped he would make it, if that was indeed what was going on. So if they were breaking up. When he spoke next, he sounded calm but tired out. Got your credit cards? Yes, and I won't overuse them, but I want my half of. She broke off, biting her lip. She'd almost called their dead child the baby, and that wasn't right. Maybe it was for her father, but not for her. She started again. My half of Amy's college money, she said. I don't suppose there's much, but we're at the top of the next column. So that's huge. Like, I think that right there is saying a lot. I will pause here just to make sure, there's some. I'm not the only smart one in here. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm not even that smart. But that line right there, I think, speaks a lot. My half of Amy's college money. Lots of inferencing there, and it actually signals something bigger going on. Don't want to say much. We'll pause. Back to the reading. There's more than you think, he said. He was starting to sound upset. They'd begun the fund not when Amy was born or even when Em got pregnant, but when they first started trying. Trying had been a 4-year process. And by the time Emily finally kindled, so the little, this is one of our words, vocabulary words, kindled to start a fire, but here they're talking about starting a pregnancy. They were talking about fertility treatments or adoption. Those investments weren't just good, they were blessed by heaven, especially the software stocks. Mort got us in at the right time and out at the absolute golden moment. Emmy, you don't want to take the eggs out of that nest. Okay. Mort, this is what a great writer does. Like, we don't know who Mort is. We're never told who Mort is, but with the inferencing, we can guess that he's probably some kind of financial manager or whatever. He's helping manage their money. You don't want to take the eggs out of that nest. Hey, metaphor. I can't help it. I'm sorry. Metaphor. We're talking about money out of an account, but he is comparing it to eggs out of a nest. No like or as there. There he was, telling her what she wanted to do. I'll give you the address as soon as I have one, she said. Do whatever you want with your half. Make mine a cashier's check. Still running? He said. And although that professional, observational tone made her wish he was here so she could throw another book at him, hardcover this time, she held her silence. At last he sighed. Listen, Em, clear out of here for a few hours. Come on in, get your clothes or whatever. I'll leave some cash for you on the dresser. For a moment, she was tempted. Then it occurred to her that leaving money on a dresser was what men did when they went to, I won't say that word, but you probably know what that is, right? No, she said, I want a fresh start. So it's almost like they weren't husband and wife anymore. There was a long pause. She guessed he was struggling with his emotions, and the thought of it caused her own eyes to blur over again. Is this the end of us, kiddo? I don't know, she said, working to keep her own voice straight. Too soon to tell. If I had to guess, he said, I guess yes. Today proves two things. One is that a healthy woman can run a long way. I'll call you, she said, top of the next column. The other is that living babies are glue when it comes to marriage. Dead ones are acid. That hurt more than anything else he might have said because it reduced Amy to an ugly metaphor. Em couldn't do that. She didn't think she'd ever be able to do that. I'll call you, she said, and hung up. And of course, though that right there, definitely two metaphors there, kind of hard to think about as a parent, but living baby was like, so maybe their marriage was in trouble even with Amy there, but it was like the glue holding them together. And then, of course, when Amy died, acid. It's just disintegrated the marriage. Vermilion Key lay dazed and all but deserted. So remember, Vermilion Key is it's an island. We'll find out. It's an island. One way in, one way out. I've mentioned that before. And all but deserted. So not too many people there. So when Emily Ozenby, we finally learn her last name. Not sure if that's important or not. Ran down to the end of the driveway, then down the hill to Cousie's Quick Pick, and then at the Cleveland South Junior College track. She ran to the Morse Hotel. She ran out of her marriage the way a woman can run out of a pair of sandals when she decides to let go and really dash. Then she ran, with the help of Southwest Airlines, to Fort Myers, Florida, where she rented a car and drove south towards Naples. Vermilion Key lay dazed and was all but deserted, baking under the June light. All right, so now I think we've had some discussions as to like, okay, when's the month? What's the month here? And so it's June, almost summer. So in probably a couple weeks, Vermilion Beach, Vermilion Key will be like crawling with tourists. Right now, not so much. Why is my picture? Let me get rid of my picture here. All right. 2 miles of road ran along Vermilion's beach from the drawbridge to the stub of her father's driveway. At the end of the driveway stood the unpainted conch shack. So we're going to get a little detail. A conch shack, probably just like a small little house. We're going to get some more clues right here. A slummy looking thing with a blue roof, peeling blue shutters on the outside, air conditioned, comfy on the inside. When she turned off the engine of her Avis Nissan, is that it? Avis Nissan. Yeah, the Avis is the rental company. The only sounds were waves crashing on the empty beach. And somewhere nearby, an alarmed bird shouting, uh-oh, uh-oh, over and over. All right, this alarmed bird is kind of going to be a character later on, so keep that in mind. Em lowered her head against the steering wheel and cried for 5 minutes, letting out all the strain and horror of the last half year. Trying to, anyway. There was no one in earshot except for the uh-oh bird. When she was finally done, she took her off her t-shirt, wiped everything away, the snot, the sweat, the tears. She wiped herself clean, all the way down to the top of her plain gray sports bra. Then she walked to the house, shells and bits of coral crunching under her sneakers. As she bent to get the key from the Sucrette's box, hidden beneath the charming, in spite of itself, lawn gnome with its faded red hat. Okay, a lot of information there, but like a little I don't even think these are around anymore. Sucrette's, like, if these are cough drops. I'm trying to look it up here. Yeah, and they at one time. So people have mentioned that maybe this story took place in the 90s. Man, who was it? I think it was Ethan, right? Based on the car. Like, in cars sometimes are a good key. At least we know it's not too far in the past if this car was made. So I don't know much about cars. She has an Avis Nissan. I don't even know what that is. Like, I know Avis is a car rental company. I know a Nissan is like probably a smaller car, but I think they make trucks too. I don't know. But let's look at what a Sucrette's lozenge box is. Lozenge is another way to say cough drops. So take a look at that. So underneath the lawn gnome, you probably have seen these things, right? Lawn gnome. I could probably pull up what a lawn gnome is too. Let's see, lawn gnome. Hopefully nothing bad shows up here, but yeah, one of those things. So maybe it looks like this guy right here. Hope I'm sharing that. So just another way to like hide your keys somewhere. Probably not the best. I mean, if you're looking if you want to steal a car, hopefully you don't, but I mean, probably under the floor mat of the passenger seat. A lot of people used to hide their keys there. And lawn gnomes, it's a good place to hide some keys right under there. But not probably the best idea. Okay. We were somewhere right up here. So that's a really long, complicated sentence right there. But as she bent to get the key from the Sucrette's box, hidden beneath the charming, in spite of itself, lawn gnome with its faded red hat, it occurred to her that she hadn't had one of her headaches in over a week, which is a good thing since her Zomig was more than 1,000 miles away. 15 minutes later, dressed in shorts and one of her father's old shirts, she was running on the beach. So that is maybe something that we should pay attention to because, she's not, I mean, if the running was the coping thing and she went there to think, I mean, she had the very first thing she did after she had a really good crying session was that she was going running. But, I guess there's not much else there to do. A healthy dose of running is good. We mentioned too much running, not so good. So probably a good place for us to stop. But what I would like to, setting is going to be a big part of this. Like the fact that it takes place on a deserted island. Okay, here's the thing. I've always wondered, like, is it better? Is it safer to live in the city or is it safer to live out in the country? Okay. So in the city, you have more people that could hurt you, but you also have more people that could help you, right? Like, if you are living in a city and you need an ambulance, it's likely they can get there more quickly rather than if you're living out in, I don't even, what's it, like Madawaska? I think that's a town way out in the boonies in Maine. Like there are fewer people to hurt. I mean, so little spoiler alert: there is going to be a person that wants to hurt her. But if you need the help, it could be a long ways away, and it might take a long time to get there. If you need the police or whatever to come save you, so I don't know. We could have a little discussion there. If you're working out on your property in the middle of nowhere and you cut yourself really badly, luckily life flight's there, but I don't know. Police and I don't know. Maybe a discussion we could have. All right. Hope you enjoyed this. We're setting up for something. I promise. Setting up for something good. All right. Out of here. See ya all.